as Jody just mentioned, like today we are here to talk about past, present, and the future trend of AI. So whenever we are talking about AI, then people have a kind of thing in mind. AI, we pretty much know like this is artificial intelligence. But what is this artificial intelligence? It is something very new in the industry. It is already there in the industry. So to be very precise with you, that this artificial intelligence is very much there since 1950s. It's talk about something that human power, like human brain, is actually perceiving as a new set of information. Then AI is basically a kind of computer system that perform the task that usually require the human intelligence. Whatever we think as a human brain, like our human brain has multiple different segments to perform a particular task. So since 50s, different scientists, computer scientists precisely, they are working on different models, natural language processing models, and they are trying to achieve a task so that they can create a new machine, new system that can think about the human like intelligence. They can mimic the kind of way we perform a task. So this is all about, in a nutshell, that artificial intelligence is all about. I'm looking for this one, so it's much easier for me. So this is the one I would say, like, as we always say, that something since beginning 1950s, the first model was developed that's called the Turing test. That is the first time human system, like human intelligence rather, they imply their knowledge process and technology into the computer augmentation. And then back 1955, we have seen the first actual concept of AI was into the rationalization. So AI was born in 1955 when John McCarthy described the science behind science and engineering behind this entire process. And finally, we have seen 1961, the first industrial robot that replaced the human channels, like human assembly channels in General Motors. And that point of time, believe me, my friend, as for the AI evolution is concerned, this is a breakthrough in the entire industry. Everyone thought before that, okay, we are the superpower, like human are the superpower. And later down the line, first starting from the Turing test in 55, just in a matter of fact, by 61 to 64, there's a revolutionize in the model of artificial intelligence. And that's the power of AI. And then slowly, when they move down the line by 1966 and beyond 1964, there's a breakthrough in ELIZA. 1966, there is a shaky model was there. But after 1966, pretty much it was a, I would say, AI hibernation period. It's called AI winter. I call it a hibernation period because that point of time, people are not talking too much about AI. It's artificial neural networking. It's all about the different processes of AI was kind of taking a halt between 1966 and late 90s. And in the late 90s, when we are in around 1997, then again, we have seen there is a deep blue model was actually created. This is the breakthrough again. This is the first time IBM has created a chess playing model that break the record, and it's basically defeated the fifth time world champion Garry Kasparov. And this is the breakthrough in the history of AI. So they have seen that how a computer machine can defeat someone who is considered to be a five-time national, like world champion rather. So that's something that human brain is not able to achieve through a machine. So that huge process is getting into the realization later down the line when we see Roomba in 2002. I'm skipping some of the numbers because you have seen on the slide, Roomba we all know. Our basically maid, our robot who is doing all the cleaning at your house. This is also a part of AI. It's nothing that we are like talking, this is new. Then Siri 2011, Watson, Eugene, and then we all know about 2014, the model of Alexa. But whatever we are talking about right now, these are called closed AI models. That these are some proprietary model, those are some research model, belong to some company, some organization. Now, people are started thinking. People means like us, who are the new generation people, they join their hands. Elon Musk and team joined their hands, and in 2015, they come up with the open AI model. It's not a proprietary model anymore. It's not in a closed box model anymore. They said, let it open to the public. You and me can join our own thought process, writing our codes into the OpenAI model. And 2015 onwards, the new journey of AI has started. So I would say, as we all know, the revolution of this entire process, one part is the proprietary part. When you talk about, I'm from the lending side, when you talk about lending side, there is a EUS systems. I talk with somebody in this group already. It's called automated underwriting system. This is a proprietary system. Different company, just like an example, like Compass, they have their own AI in-house. Those are all proprietary models. So those models are called the closed box model. We cannot do anything with that model because there is not much pre-trained information is there. But when you make this model open to the public, then public can contribute their own thought process. Like if I can open it to a college, when people are writing codes, they can put their codes into that. So there are two benefits. One benefit is the model will be enriched pretty fast, but there is a risk too, because the model don't know what is good or bad for it. So they will learn, but they are not yet being trained to de-learn the bad things that is being poured into the system. But the biggest, I would say, not the challenge, the benefit out here, the OpenAI can tackle the wider range of challenges that can foster the continuous innovation. That's the huge success to this process. And if I can go to the next one, this is the journey being made back in 2015. So in 2015, Elon Musk, Sam Altman, and others, they have created this open AI model in 2015 and open it for the public use. And we all talk about ChatGPT right now. This is a huge buzz. Then people come and talk to us that, hey, Amit, like we are using ChatGPT, but ChatGPT is not a proprietary model. It's under the OpenAI model, though OpenAI is a privately owned research lab and the headquarters is in San Francisco. Which one?
The open AI versus, so open AI is more like we can get more subjects and it can be a little more broad versus closed AI is like, this is my company, it's very controlled, I'm letting
correct.
You know, okay.
Correct.
Is that what the open AI, is that what makes them go rogue sometimes? Like where the lady was talking all the
true
online, okay.
Because if it is open to public, so I don't know like what code you are putting into it, what code Karan is actually putting into it, or where Dimitri or other persons are putting into that. And this is not a problem, I would say. This is also a blessing in disguise because the model is learning pretty fast. It's a more robust model. If you see a proprietary model will go through much standard regulation and customized process. But when it is an open model, then it is much robust and it can learn quickly. Let us finish and we'll come to the discussion. Okay, thank you. And in 2018, when we see this open AI model, the first concept of ChatGPT was coined. So this ChatGPT was basically a prompt to action mode. That means you are putting some text-based chats and it will give you much more refined processing information back to your end. And then back after that in 2021, that OpenAI releases the DALL-E tool. So this DALL-E tool actually give you different aspects of the graphic, because the GPU, like Karan will discuss more about the technical aspect of the GPU, like graphical processing units, so that how this DALL-E tool, just like writing a prompt, writing a text, you are writing something for a picture, it will give you precise graphic information back. And then we are talking about more and more about much finer things that is called brain, like train the model much more in a finer sense. So being that said, I'm going into the next slide and call Karan to talk about artificial intelligence and the deep learning part and the machine intelligence part in a technical terms, and so that he can break it down and we'll go more. But before I will call you, you will start, if you can say, you have some questions, right? Yeah. We have a mic, right? Yes, it's on. Can you please pass it on? Yes, I may.
Just wanted to comment on your what you mentioned about what I guess you're going to get into it, and that is AI continues to learn, and well, whatever it spits out doesn't know whether it's wrong, right, good, bad. You don't know, you as a person doesn't know whether it's good, bad, wrong, or right either, because you don't know what you don't know. You don't know what you don't know. And my question, I guess my question or thought is that it's only gonna spit out what it knows, what it can put out, AI, what it can put out based on what's out there on the internet, what's linked to it. It's only going to put out and spit out. And then the learning aspect to me is probably more info that is being put out there and being available. It still won't know good, bad, wrong, right. And you as a person won't know either, because you don't know what you don't know. So you got to be careful. That's my thought. What's your thoughts about that?
100%, I agree about that. When you are talking about something you see, it's automatically writing on the fly. This is also a part of learning. So they're taking information into the system, and as we said, like ChatGPT, sorry. Turn yourself back on. Okay. So ChatGPT is a kind of model right now. They're in a toddler process. It's not like a baby to a toddler and learning these things on the fly. So definitely we need to be careful. Even you're writing a bio professional listing, like you're writing a listing agreement, like not listing agreement, listing description. On the fly, the ChatGPT will write you something, but it's on us. We'll review everything together. So I will discuss that thing at the end part of my discussion, but you're 100% right. It's on us as a human interpreter, as a human expert or professional expert, to make sure whatever we are getting back from the system, it is not hallucinating. Systems sometimes hallucinate. And this is the typical problem with any not only OpenAI, any AI model. So we need to be there at the end of the journey to make sure anything that is coming to the public, to our clients, it is proofread properly. Okay. I think you got it. Okay.
I know that we've been doing AI for a little bit. We've been playing around with it, and it does generate the chat. Is there some that are better than others, or are we? Oh, or does that?
Yeah. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Perfect. Karan, sorry. No worries.
Cool. Hi all. So yeah, what I'll do is I'll try to go down and kind of break down the jargon keywords of what is AI, what is machine learning, what is deep learning. So in very simple terms, we have all seen when we type on our keyboard, we get the next word predicted, right? So there's something going on at the back end which predicts the next word. So let's use this example and work on it. All right, so I'll break down what AI is. So AI can be considered as automation. Any automation that we see, be it in, let's say, a car factory wherein one assembly line robot is taking the car chassis and trying to plug in the steering wheel or wheels or anything. So that is just AI. This AI model, we call it, is essentially just rules. So these are rules. So the rule says that, okay, you have a car incoming, and then you have to plug in the steering wheel, you have to plug in tires and things like that. So this is a very basic form of AI. This happened, let's say, 50 years ago. And then we kind of moved on from giving explicit instructions to the machine to having the machine learn itself. So the difference between AI and machine learning is in AI, we tell the machine explicit rules that, okay, given this, do that, or given a certain condition, do that. Let's say our thermostat. Thermostat is a classic form of AI, but not machine learning. A thermostat is low. Or you know what, temperature goes below 65, turn on the heating system. So that's pure AI. Now we move on to machine learning. In machine learning, you do not tell the machine any instructions. The machine learns itself. Okay. And then there's a component of deep learning, which I'll go maybe like in a while, but let's go on the next slide and see with a real example. So this is what machine learning is. So given an example, so so the inputs are on the left side and the outputs are on the right side. So as a human, can you tell me what should be the answer for the input for 200? So given 2, the output is 4. Given 7, the output is 14. Given 12, output is 24. Anybody? Given input 200, what should be the output? Anyone? 400, right? Perfect. So everybody inferred that the calculation that's going on behind is essentially just multiplying the input by 2 or doubling the input. There is no rule which was programmed in this, and that is what machine learning is. So if you show the machine a bunch of these kind of inputs, if you just keep on showing the machine, given 2, output 4, given 7, output 14, the machine will learn what is happening inside. You are not telling the machine what happened. The machine figures it out that, okay, 2 becomes 4. And that's what machine learning is. And this phase of explaining or showing the machines a bunch of input and output is what is called the training phase. And once you have shown it, let's say 1 million of these examples, the machine understands, okay, this is what I need to do. Without any explicit instructions, the machine understood that, okay, this is what it's trying to do. And deep learning is a subsegment on how you teach machines to do this. But this whole question mark in the middle is essentially your machine. That's it. And there are different ways to define this machine. It's essentially a bunch of math numbers going on, but ultimately we can look at this machine as a black box, and we are trying to teach that machine this input. And coming on to the last line, so if you have a bunch of historical real estate data and you know the selling price, okay, then you can train a machine essentially that given the configuration of the house, given the PIN code, given the school rating and things like that, it can technically predict the output price. And you do not need to understand, or even we don't know. As a machine, like we have let the machine be free to start thinking on its own to define what is the operation going on over the input. In the first case, we know that the operation was very simple, just double the input and give the output. But in this case, it's more complicated. But then the era that we are in, we are learning with deep models, and deep models are essentially just a representation of the brain. And this is a known fact that it's difficult to reverse engineer and understand why the machine is trying to predict something. But we know for a fact that it's close to reality, let us say. And that's when we come. So this was a mathematical example. Coming on to the example of English text or ChatGPT, this is what ChatGPT essentially does. It's essentially your autocomplete on steroids, essentially. So given the sentence, so the sentence is on the top, second law of robotics, a robot must obey the orders given it by human beings. So this is the statement that we have in hand, and how we make the machine output is we give it the first few words. We give it the words second law of robotics. We give it this input, and the machine then tries to complete that statement. So then the machine outputs the first character A, and then we shift that to the input side. And then we force it to produce the next character. So then it produces a robot. And then we shift the robot into the left side again. And then it produces the next character must. And then it goes on. And if you have done the same process over the whole of internet, that you have shown it a few words, and if you have asked the machine to force it to complete the statement, that's what gives you ChatGPT. The ChatGPT is nothing but a big autocomplete machine which has seen the whole of the web. That's it. So if you give it any starting sentence, it is able to complete it to the best of its ability on what it has seen over the internet. So if you say on my, it completes on my way. If you tell it the cat sat on a, it completes the cat sat on a mat, or cat sat on a car, something like that. So it has seen a lot of these words, it has seen all these words, it understands what words follow what words, and that's how it works, right? And okay, so now I'll quickly come into OpenAI. Amitabh mentioned that OpenAI essentially is more like moving towards openness side of things. That is, companies are now trying to give public the access and try to build on top of whatever they have built so as to crowdsource information, crowdsource ideas, and give public the ability to build systems what they want to do. One of the things is ChatGPT, which is more of a text model. Then there is DALL-E, named after Salvador Dali. And this is the image. So given a text fragment, it can technically generate a text, like an image for you. So if you tell us a model of a house with mountains from the backyard, and it will generate an image for you, right? And then the API. The API is essentially a way to access these models. API stands for Application Programming Interface. You can use ChatGPT and DALL-E just by kind of going on the website and then using the API, which connects you to the model from OpenAI, and you can play around with it. Yeah, so this is essentially like a summarization. ChatGPT is just an AI language model. It is trained on large corpus from the internet. It just knows what word follows next, and it can generate human-like responses just because of how much text it has seen. So think of it like somebody has literally read the whole of the internet, and if you ask it any sentence from anywhere, it can complete the sentence, right? And yeah. So, yep, ChatGPT, this is again like a summarization of what we discussed. It's an AI-powered chatbot, uses English comprehension skills to complete what is coming next. And in real estate, how we can use this is essentially if we can supply to it some form of long text that you want to, let's say, summarize, or you want to kind of ask questions on it, or maybe try to distill it down. Let's say there's a technical form of text that you want it to be converted to plain English. You can ask it like, can you please convert it to plain English or something like that, right? Then, okay, I think I'll probably skip the slide. It's more about chatbots, which I've already discussed. And yeah, so AI and chatbots in real estate, they can be used for essentially, sure, yeah. So it can provide you, or it can generate you property listings, like given features of a house or zip code and things like that. It can generate the listing for you. It can generate the search in like the Facebook post or Twitter post or any other advertising that you want to write. You can compose it in a fancy manner, and yeah, it can also kind of suggest you emails that you can write to your clients. It can suggest you compose a frequently asked questions based on a listing and things like that. And yeah, so summarizing it, what is ChatGPT? ChatGPT is essentially like a 5-year-old kid. It understands English, it can complete English, but it cannot make complex decisions. So you're not going to use it to make any complex decisions. It's just nothing but autocomplete on steroids. You give it a piece of text, it is able to complete it. You give it what you want to do, it's able to complete it. And it has a lot of general knowledge, but it does not have specific knowledge. So it knows English, it knows a bunch of other 200 languages, but it does not know very, very specific things. Like if you ask it, oh, you know what is automatic underwriting, it probably will not know, right? And that's where the limitation comes into picture. And yeah, a few ideas like which Amitabh will go into much more detail is you can use it to list descriptions, improve your emails and texts. You can generate scripts to have cold calling ideas, then blog post content, taglines, keyword research, and newsletter content. So Amitabh will we have examples for all of these, and Amitabh will go over much more of it. And I think we are running late, so we can take questions after that. Oh, I think so. Okay, sure. Amitabh.
Right. So going back to the next one, like definitely as we being a practitioner, like I would say in our field, we need to know like what is this actually in our day-to-day life. Being a real estate professional, being a lending practitioners, or maybe in the real estate per se, that how this model, pre-trained model like ChatGPT, as he just mentioned, it is just like a toddler baby. He is running on the fly. We are the human basically making that brain train properly. We are giving those inputs. We are giving that deep learning thought process. So in the ChatGPT OpenAI model, only 3.5 version is free for us, but there are more paid version. Like DALL-E tool, as you mentioned, is a paid version, but you need to put a piece of information. But how the machine is learning, that's the unique part of it. If I say that, hey, write a listing 3-bed to 2-bath, 1,200 square feet, something, that is my language. But how the machine is learning and then creating a new stuff, that what we actually look at here. So this is what is very pertinent in our day-to-day life. Like, as you can see from that picture is basically us on the left-hand side of the panel, that we are writing something on the computer. And the computer is sending the API, that is application processing interface, that will create a new format. And this is something what we are writing it here. You are just writing, your input is very simple, a text to a completion mode. In practical life, what you are writing, create a listing description of a single family residence showing a luxury features. That's all I'm writing, suppose. But machine is taking its own intelligence into the picture, and the completion results is luxury and single family residence offering unrivaled elegance and comfort. See the kind of richness in this forum. So definitely there are some, as already Jaime mentioned, that how we need to make sure, like, this is something we need to rely on. That is on us. But see, machine is not only learning from us, it is adding new features to it. It is making much more compelling, much more useful for the end user. And these are some examples that I personally believe that when we are doing a class or session, discussing, brainstorming rather, that how this AI model will help as an individual. Like when we write any kind of listing description of this 3-bed, 2-bath in Willow Glen Bay Area, the house is on a quiet street, newly updated kitchen with granite countertop, gas stove. The house is remodeled bungalow with double garage, and then highlight there is a big backyard, and definitely it's close proximity to shops and cafes. On the fly, it took like only 5 seconds, that system, because it is not the first time this model is like learning by himself, or like I'm putting all the inputs day in and day out. And then this model is learning by itself, and then returning it back so precisely and quickly. But this is a very, I would say, primitive, trained initial model. But if you go to the next one, you can convert that same listing description into a social media post. You need not to write anything. The first thing, you are just writing on top of the code. Like you're just writing a prefixed simple text into the system. It will give you this thing first. And the next one on that same model, you will just put that, hey, can you please turn that same description into a social media post? Then OpenAI will give you the new listing alert and say, hey, looking for a beautiful home in Willow Glen? It is asking you a question. Now try to understand the feeling of that. Karan was just talked about the same thing. As a human being, human brain, how the human brain is thinking, like 2 to 4, 4 to like 8, the same thing when you're telling the system that, hey, can you now convert this listing description into a blog or media post? It is thinking that how a media post would be compelling to the common people. It is not just saying that, hey, there is a nice, beautiful house, but it is just starting the phrase by saying, looking for a beautiful home in Willow Glen? You think that as a human brain, how we think, machine has started doing that. It's scary. I can completely understand, but it's happening on the fly. And when we are doing this, we need to just make sure like what best we can achieve in this entire process. Same example out here. On the left-hand side, you see an example, sample email to a prospective seller to get a listing appointment. You are just writing a very basic stuff. You write this particular prompt, and the API will return you the results by saying, this is what you can write here, just on a fly. Now, you write next one, highlighted in yellow, it says, here's is a persuasive and succinct email to a prospective seller for a listing appointment. You just say that, train the model by saying, can you make it more appealing to the seller? And you are not doing it for the first time. You use those words some way or the other. Again, I'm coming back to the precautionary side of it, that you need to make sure that you are the expert. You need to read it and make sure like this is what you need at the end result. This highlighted part, it is clearly saying that as an experienced real estate agent with over several number of experience or dash like this experience, I helped so many clients to achieve their home buying journey or dream. And then this thing, it is automatically pre-filled into the system. Now write a phone script for a top real estate agent in Atherton who handles a luxury listing and asks for a price reduction. It may happen all the time with us, right? Definitely, I'm on the lending side of it. I always heard this story from a listing agent that, hey, there is a house, and how should I negotiate with an agent who is this top agent? I'm very new to the industry, how to do that? It is giving you something like that. But now you think like, no, this is not enough for me. I can reach out to the listing agent, I can ask for a price reduction, but I'm not sure that whether he's paying attention to me or not, because I'm not that much recognized in my industry. So now what do you tell that same system that now you update above same phone script and add some bragging factors? What kind of bragging factors? You might put some information and you see what are the bragging factors. The system will suggest you. You can say that, hey, my buyer is a CEO of Smart AI LLC, just as an example. His company is going to be public in 2024 Q1. Their household income is 2.7 million. We are fully underwritten and planning to close in 15 days with no contingencies. And as a reference, we recently closed a transaction in Menlo Park in June 2023 with another agent in your office. You see the richness in this thing. Don't think about the negativities. But the system is suggesting you, if you're looking for a bragging factor, these are the bragging factor you may consider. Again, this is not a true information. Maybe they're like the borrower, the client might not have 2.7 million information, like household income. They're not going into public, maybe not in 2024, but this is the bragging factor. You can think this you can include in your own way to make sure when you reach out to that listing agent, you are having that kind of confidence with you. So this is actually helping us in this entire journey. Write a 500-word blog post about when and why you should get a pre-approval for a mortgage before starting to shop for a house. It is writing for you. I'm not getting into these details, but what I showed the earlier one is a precise example of the positivities that we can get out from this OpenAI ChatGPT model. Write an email newsletter about the current real estate market of Santa Clara County, California. Just in 10 seconds, it will create with some automated feed. So I just provided some feed about the Case-Shiller index, because Case-Shiller index from June and July showing positive trend about like 5.9 to 7.2% increases in the house price, even in this misbehaving rate world. I would always say, yesterday I was talking to somebody, I said, mortgage rates are misbehaving like a teenager right now, everywhere, right? Exactly, they're misbehaving. But we have seen, especially in our Bay Area, house prices are steadily growing up. There are new changes, there are more contingencies are coming on board. Like from June till like October, we have seen 22% increase in the contingencies because people are really careful about it, that they're hard-earned money on the table. So being that said, like when you approach to a prospective buyer, what would be your strategy? So if you pre-train the model, I'm doing it every day. I'm part of a group where we always nurture about different like AI models, AI prompt, and I work with definitely realtor partners to help them like achieve their dream by writing prompt to completion. And this is the story right now. 30% increase in efficiency. Definitely, we are not completely trained. As I was talking to Dimitri, Karan, and other people, that we still are in the like evolutionary phase of it. Someday it will come that some people, they like some team, some group will develop an OpenAI model precisely for like realtors, precisely for like lenders, OpenAI model. What I mean by this. This is creating a reduction in cost about more than $1 billion. Improved accuracy of 95% with an enhancement customer experience about 80%. And believe me, since 2017 till date, 720% increase in the use of AI due to its positive aspect. Definitely, there are some legal challenges, there are some hallucination. I believe we have a real estate attorney who will definitely address, talk about it, the nuances of it. I'm not going into those nuances because those are limitations. I would say thank you. We are definitely here to make sure that we will create a positive atmosphere in this entire journey. AI is for us to help. It's not like to replace human power or human mind. It's there to augment our human mind in a better way. So I would say the next day is definitely a panel discussion. We are open for this panel. I'm just handing over to Dimitri.
All right, so our next step right now, we're going to have a panel discussion. I prepared some questions for our panelists, and after that, we're going to do the Q&A with the audience. So first, let's start with some very quick introductions. You already heard from Amitava. He's a lender at Origin Point. And by the way, each of you guys add whatever you want to introduce yourself. I don't want to, read pre-written descriptions. So Karan is applied scientist at Microsoft Turin. So his perspective is kind of, I would guess, more foundational AI, big company perspective. John Lin, she's a founder and the CEO of a tech startup called Coach.ai. And why she's on the panel, she has a very, very interesting perspective of building custom models for specific domains. So Coach AI is basically special AI models created to talk in a way of a certain coach, right? And when I heard her talk, my first suggestion was, oh, I want a Tom Ferry model. So, and Mark, he is a partner and attorney litigator with Borton Petrini. He does quite a bit of real estate, and I gotta give him a plug. He recently helped me win a very significant case where I actually won and collected. So if you need a real estate attorney, I would definitely recommend Mark. And he's going to give us the legal and risk management perspective on all these things. So anything you guys want to add to introduce yourself?
Since you guys are very interested in AI, I wrote a book on artificial intelligence, so you can find out more. I can just put my name there. And it basically reviewed the whole history of AI in every field of AI, how they develop it.
Okay. All right. So shall we jump into our questions? So first question, why should real estate professionals care about AI, right? So we had an introduction. Yes, it's coming. Yes, it's happening. There are some examples, but let's dive into a big picture. What AI is going to do with real estate, and why should we all care about it? Who wants to get started?
Well, it is coming. We read in the papers and the news about AI, chatbot, GPT. And by the way, there are no cases yet, at least in Santa Clara County, of anyone suing chatbot GPT. I checked it yesterday, but it's coming, and it can be a tool, but it can also be a problem. We've seen in the news of driverless cars. Now their license has been revoked. We have in the legal field people submitting briefs based on that and getting caught because it made up everything. So, but it is a tool and it can help you. And you saw the examples of listings. If you don't have time to do it, you can give it a couple of keywords and it'll spit something out for you. So it can be a time saver, but it can also be a problem because, as you've heard from the others, it is in its infancy. And so from a risk management perspective and to avoid the lawsuits, beware. It's up to you to pay attention. Time saver, but ultimately it's your name on the line.
All right. So first, I want to define what is AI. So we pretty much, people pay attention to AI only until ChatGPT was launched. Before that, AI was very abstract and academic. Even though a lot of companies are doing AI, machine learning, data prediction based on housing price, based on the user profile, it's still not actually come to like day-to-day life. People can actually use it. So by the end of 2022, when OpenAI launched the ChatGPT, then people started to see, oh, this is what AI can do. So AI, there's this revolutionary phase just happening right now since end of 2022, and it's going to accelerate. What I mean by accelerating is you see just the last month, OpenAI released this multimodal where both the text, image, speech can all come together, meaning you can build actually a conversational in speech talking to a client on behalf of you. And you can imagine, and people can upload the picture, your client can understand, your system can understand, it can do everything for you. So this revolutionary aspect about AI, that is here to stay. In addition, this year, there is a revolution in robots. The household robot is going to come probably in a couple of years or even within 1 year, because the model that drives ChatGPT now is being applied to robots, to vision, to speech. The whole AI field now is unified into one foundation model. That one foundation model will quickly accelerate everything we do. So when you see so much change happening, and people certainly will worry about their jobs, people certainly also worry about how this will change the industry. So that's what we see the why in every industry people should pay attention to what AI can do, because it's going to be very disruptive. That's what we're going to see.
Yep. So I think a lot of points are covered, but I'll just try to kind of reiterate why and what it is important. So maybe like 20 years back when sites like Redfin and Zillow and Realtor.com came into picture, I mean, the word was that, oh, you know what, now they are democratizing real estate and we do not need realtors anymore, right? But that's not true. There's always a human aspect that is required when you are making a transaction at that scale. So, and that's where like we should look at AI, machine learning, or deep learning, or ChatGPT is just one form of AI. It's nothing but when Redfin came, people were more active. They were able to put filters. They were able to do one level of search themselves, and they were able to kind of connect to their realtor better, and vice versa. The realtors were able to show them websites or like just share them links rather than doing physical tours. So what it did was, like, websites like Redfin, Zillow, and Realtor.com, they augmented both the lives, not only realtors but also consumers. And same for these AI models, right? What they are trying to do is to make the connection and the transition seamless. So rather than you going on Redfin and putting in filters, you can maybe at some point of time, we have all seen like Redfin connect plugins with ChatGPT. You can talk to a chatbot and say that, oh, you know what, I need a house with a mountain backyard. So it will show you potential zip codes wherein you can get that. So it's opening up more possibilities for you. Maybe you don't even know of that zip code. Maybe like living in Bay Area, you don't know of, let's say, Santa Barbara, but there might be very nice zip codes in Santa Barbara which provide you these kind of amenities. So it's essentially taking the experience one level forward, and it's inevitable that people will try to use it because it's like inevitably a better experience, and it's for the benefit of both the consumer and the realtors to kind of acknowledge it and work towards using it as part of their lives. It's not a replacement for anybody. It's just trying to augment your experience. Like as Amitabh showed a few examples, it's going to augment. It's not going to change the concept of sending a newsletter, or it's not going to change the concept of talking to the opposition party. It's just going to augment your experience. You can prepare yourself better for the speech. You can prepare yourself better to write a newsletter. You can prepare yourself better to write LinkedIn or Facebook post and things like that. So it's going to augment your life. That's how I see it. And anything which augments your life should be kind of paid attention to.
Right, and I think we should go for the next one. We have covered pretty much everything.
Yes. Okay. So, and I will just summarize it, my perspective very quickly. Why should real estate professionals care about AI? Is to get more efficient at your job. That's pretty much it. And I think this is a good segue into our next question, which is for every panelist who wants to answer this. What are your top 3 use cases for AI in real estate today? And please rank them. What everybody here can take home and start using. Top 3 use cases. Who wants to get started?
I would say the top 3 use cases. The first one for any realtor or the real estate professional is to write a bio for them. Definitely write a listing description and finding a house for their buyers. I believe these are the 3 things with the augmented reality is concerned. As she just mentioned recently that earlier, this AI is all about academicians. Like they're writing, most likely, if I remember my college days back in like late 90s and 2000, people are writing lots of journals, like research papers on artificial neural network, artificial intelligence, and all about that. But no one paid that much of attention. Being a student, being a grad student, we read things. Being a data engineer, I read things, I write things, but that's restricted up to that. No one thought of writing something just like on fly that ChatGPT is doing. Why it is happening? Because now it is open to public. Earlier, it was just like a closed box discussion. Like it's a proprietary model, closed box discussion. It is with the academicians. Right now, it's much more open. So people are exploring, and it is a new thing that we are exploring and experiencing day in and day out. So I believe this is a new horizon. Karan also mentioned, other panelists also mentioned, this is an era where we need to join hands, and it's not gonna stop. Believe me, there are some precautions at the end user, we need to definitely put into the place. But as I just mentioned, we all need to adapt it no matter what sooner, or be a first responder that way.
Sure. So my top 3 recommendations would be, okay, so it's perhaps a different answer from the other panelists, would be trying to connect to the next generation of buyers, right? The upcoming set of people who are now getting into the house buying process, of prospective buyers, are, let's say, like 90s kids, right? And these people, I think I can speak for them. We don't like taking phone calls, right? So texting is one big thing, right? Texting, social media, and presence of descriptions. So as let's say a Gen Z kind of a buyer, they are more interested in having comprehensive descriptions available on the listing, right? They are much more used to like getting to know you as a realtor via your LinkedIn presence, your Zillow, Redfin, and other reviews. So these kind of people are more tech savvy. They want you to send them emails rather than doing phone calls. They want to follow you on other social media websites, and that's what ChatGPT will help you on board and bridge that gap. You can use these tools to kind of have your newsletter in a much more, let's say, a more lucrative language. You can post on different platforms and things like that, just to connect with your set of buyers. That would be my number 1, and even like number 2 recommendation, these 2 use cases. And number 3 is, again, the next set of buyers that you are potentially targeting are much more aware. Let's say, no disrespect to anybody else, but people for today want to know more about what they are getting into. They are tech savvy. They want to understand the disclosures they want to sign, and you as a realtor can technically summarize or use these tools to summarize your contracts, to summarize the disclosures into something that an average Joe can understand, and you can share it them or via email or something. That does not replace you as a human and your due diligence on how you will have to review the output from the model, but the model will still do a pretty good job in getting you started with that summary, which you can present to your buyer on what they are going to sign and things like that. On the legal aspect, I think we have much better experts, but that would be my take on how you can utilize these tools to connect with the next segment of buyers much more efficiently.
So I'm not a real estate expert, but I can just talk about in general the 3 use case even in every profession. The number one, certainly agree with the first speaker, is using ChatGPT to generate any kind of text, like social blogging, email, the listing description, anything that you can formulate the text that's in a much better way. The second is if you have a lot of leads and you want to be able to serve your customer immediately, I would highly recommend have a chatbot solution. The chatbot solution now is much more intelligent. It actually can talk. It's not like the old, very dumb chatbot. Now it's totally like ChatGPT in a steroid, where it can actually take whatever your unique data set, your collected listing description, everything, and answer the user in a quick way. So you can save a lot of time to responding to everyone's phone call. You can immediately regain. Basically, this is the fast way to get their action, right? So that you don't have to wait. Basically, 24/7 service. That's what I see. Yeah.
Let me be the doomsayer and tell you my top one thing not to use it for. Do not use it for any legal documents, contracts, disclosures, summarize anything. You need to do that, because if it screws up and you pass it along, you're next on the line. So avoid using it for drafting contracts, reviewing the contracts, disclosure statements. You know how important that is. Don't let any artificial intelligence do it. You do it.
Even the summarize.
No, you know, I think that's what you're there for. That's your expertise.
Yeah.
Don't rely on artificial intelligence to do that. You have the expertise. I would strongly encourage you to do it, because you know what to look for. You know your clients. It's great in the front end when you're trying to bring them in, but now you're in the legal field and it's uncharted territory. Yes.
How does it summarize it for you? Like, I understand that we should always go and make sure that we catch all the little details, but how I played with AI a bit, but I don't know how to summarize.
That might be.
Well, let me actually summarize all the answers and answer your question here. So, so first of all, this is a use case that's being talked about, summarizing disclosures, but I don't think we have it in a way. There's a tool you can just go and use right away. But this is common. People are talking about it, right? It's not available yet, but there is some talk about it, right? Well,
Thank you.
yeah, and if I were to summarize the top 3 use cases, potential, right? So number 1 is just a writing assistant for whatever you need to write, and this is what you can use ChatGPT today. Second, let's say some kind of a summarizer, maybe of disclosures. And again, I'm gonna point back to what Mark said. Don't just use it as is. Maybe it's gonna be a tool to help you highlight what to look for, but you still have to do this yourself. And I would say the third potential big use case is going to be some sort of a highly customized model that helps agents do part of their work, like for example, helping manage the home search for the buyers. But this is also one of those futuristic things, which is not quite here yet. We're gonna talk about how what Redfin tried to do with ChatGPT plugin. It's going to be a separate question, but that's, I say, the third big application piece. So now let's go into our next question. It's really nicely connects with what you just talked about. How trustworthy and reliable is AI in real estate today? How this may change in the future? And what precautions do you need to take today? And we covered some of those topics on and off, but now let's just focus on this specific question.
So I would say regarding the trustworthy parties, all on us. It's a pre-trained model. When we talk about any ChatGPT, any model on the AI or the OpenAI per se, it's on us what inputs we are providing and what like the output we are getting, and we are making sure like we are as an end user, we are vetting all the information carefully. We already talk about the nuances, legalities. Recently, Dimitri also mentioned someone is asking about like disclosures. I have heard like there are some bunch of groups who are creating a custom dataset model, and they're using that pre-trained dataset model for writing a reviews, writing disclosures, not only for the like for the real estate purposes, any disclosures, any reviews. Basically, they are writing an open AI code models, and then they are creating a custom model for you as an end user so that you can use to write reviews and things. It is not yet publicly available, but yes, those models are very much there. So ultimately, it's on us as an end users that what we are providing to the system and what we are getting it back. So if we provide information that's pertinent to the results that we are looking for, I believe it's okay for us to use it. But ultimately, again, we need to make sure as an end user that what our end goal is. We need to review. It's not like I just put something into the system and then publish it. So if I need to just write a blog post, I said my assistant that, hey, just write a code, something like write something, get a blog post and post it without reviewing it. Just like that bragging factors, as you have seen. System can give you a bragging factor of many things, but being an end users, it's on us what bragging factors we use when we are approaching to our top listing agents on price reduction. Just as an example. So definitely, it has a huge implication. It is a positive implication, I would say, to use it down the line, but it's on us how we are using it.
Yep, I think that would be the common theme across the answers for this question. That, like, my personal belief is calling it artificial intelligence is kind of overselling it and blowing it up. There's very little intelligence when it comes into these things. These are, as I said, it's like a 5-year-old kid, right? These things are great as assistants, but there's very little intelligence going into them. And which will be the case, like even for future, according to me. They can become much more powerful, much more human-like, but they are not a replacement for you. Same analogy, like sites like Redfin and Realtor are not replacement for humans. So the idea is to use them to your benefit to make your workflow more efficient, and connect with the next set of users much more seamlessly. And this is not going to replace any of your tasks. It's just going to make them smoother. It's like 100 years ago we had horse garages, and now we have cars. Same logic, right? I mean, it's just more efficient. That's pretty much it.
So AI has this major problem called hallucination. This problem has not been solved. This is the key problem happened with deep neural network, and it only happens recently after ChatGPT was launched. People are started to aware. So hallucination problem probably will be solved in a year or so, because there's a lot of research currently, a lot of mechanism to guardrail the hallucination. So like Google added the source at the bottom of the response. You can also upload your own customer data to limit the context of this answer. So there are several ways to guard against hallucination, but you just have to be aware it's still there. It has not been completely solved. Maybe, yeah, just 1 year or so, because there's the progress in resolving hallucination is moving very fast recently. The second thing is answer from OpenAI or from BARD, from other system. They are very generic. They don't have some local information you have. So combining with your customer model, your customer data as a context for the AI agent, that's the key part, to add additional information to make it more concrete. Certainly, finally, double check double check the answers, do a final review. I think it's always important. Yeah. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah. Well, you did this, if you do some real tests, like we tested like some real people's fact, we know it's hallucinating the fact. So it doesn't, so, but you may not know, it speaks so much like human lies, right? So AI lies exactly like a human. When you force it to speak, yes.
And I need to add it on this hallucination part, it's pretty common for the OpenAI model because it's not very common with the closed AI model because it's proprietary. Everything is all presetted out there. But in OpenAI, what it happens, like what Mark is putting, Dimitri is putting, me, Karan, everyone is putting out there, it started picking up information from every points. We call the resource point. And after it getting all the points, then it is waiting for the fifth person to put the query in. And that point of time, it's starting, like, I would say, trying to be more smarter at certain point of time. It's adding its own language. And that's where the hallucination part comes. So being a real estate professional, just as an example, like if I'm asking them to write a luxurious listing for me, all on a sudden, out of the fly, he's his system engine is adding a wonderful backyard pool, but it's not there, right? Because what it is happening in the OpenAI model, it has seen that same user is actually using a pool at least for his 5 different listing earlier. So it is picking up a pool and thinking like, if I use a fascinating pool at the backyard or something like that, it looks like, again, this is what the hallucination in a real life example. And I have seen when I'm putting this thing and it happened, 5th time, nothing has happened. 6th time, nothing has happened. And then after 2 days, I'm trying that same string and I see it. Yes, it's a seamless like pool is there on the backyard or a luxury listing. So this hallucination definitely would be there. This correction of hallucination may take some time. That's the pre-trained model is working right now. But yeah.
Well, and I would just quickly add, actually, I do have it, right? So, so just a quick note, right? So the models cannot go out in the real world and verify the facts.
Yeah.
They have to go what is in a training data set, what you give it. So the really big thing, you have to verify all the facts. And I think this is a good segue to Mark.
Yeah, there's one question. Yeah. Mark.
Let's do questions after.
Well, I have nothing to add on. what is
So
already
we
said.
covered everything?
Yeah. Next.
Okay, yeah, okay. And then I would just kind of summarize it. Look for facts. These models, they do not know facts. They don't go in the real world to check the facts. So they could they could make up wrong facts, and also they could miss the facts that should be there. So what has been a big issue, many of the training data sets have been kind of losing data because somebody says we are copyright holders for this, for this, for this. And for some question that I've been asking ChatGPT, over a span of a few months, ChatGPT goes from giving a detailed answer to something so generic. Wait a minute, it was telling me this thing before and now it doesn't. So just to summarize, be very careful. So, and also another big issue, ChatGPT will never ask you a follow-up question. And think about when you are working with a client, you're asking questions, you're getting an answer, you are asking questions to give them the better answers. ChatGPT is not going to ask you a question. It's just going to go best by what you tell it. And oftentimes it really misses things. And especially when you start, trying to figure out legal issues there, it is so important. That's why I don't do this. Well, ChatGPT does not ask you a question, right? That is the issue. This is right. Well, right. So
just like Alexa, if you ask something at the end of it, they said, hey, have you got it? Your answers or something like that. Those kind of interactive platforms are there. not with ChatGPT. So different platforms are definitely there, that chatbots. It's interactive, much more interactive. Sometimes it's mimics the fashion that whatever, it's just like a human, like they're talking to you. So there are platforms, but not on this pre-text format.
Our platform. So if you go to coach.ai, we have a proactive interaction that they do ask you question, do engage you, understanding the context, understanding what you should do next. So that's a coaching platform, what we talk about.
Sorry, so, and just to add, I mean, no, like not with respect to my affiliation, but yeah, I think things like Google search, like Google Bard and the Bing Chat, these search engines is essentially ChatGPT plus. So what they do is they have ChatGPT on the back end, and then they also provide it real-time search information and to an extent hallucination checking. So if you try to use these systems, the ChatGPT is one of the systems, but then these bigger corporations have added much more sanity checking and verification on top of this. The Google Bard and Microsoft Bing AI, these two are one of the bigger systems which do real-time information as well. But that's still, they are slightly or marginally better than ChatGPT, just because they have access to real-time data. They have access to some sort of fact checking. It might be a positive experience over ChatGPT to an extent, but still, like the bottom line is that it does not replace the value of a human and the human verification and sanity check.
All right, let's keep moving. But to summarize again, don't trust the facts that you get from any of those systems. Verify everything. You're gonna get if you do a search and see the website says something, that's a very minimum way to verify the facts. Sometimes there are alternative facts that ChatGPT comes up with. Anyways, let's keep going. So here's the next question. What are your thoughts on Redfin's foray into building a ChatGPT plugin? And I will give some background for everybody what actually happened. So earlier this year, Redfin decided, okay, we're gonna build a chatbot to help people buy a house, right? So, and the way they did it is they created a plugin for ChatGPT. So they go into ChatGPT, they give it some data, specifically listings on the market, and the plugin would have something like this. You would ask it, could you find me a home in San Jose? And it would spit out a few listings right there, right? So this product was on the market for about a few months. And then OpenAI looked at this and said, wait a minute, housing, fair housing, all sorts of issues. And OpenAI just banned all the real estate plugins for now until they figure out what the hell is going on. So what do you guys think on this whole situation, on what happened, on could those issues be solved? There is definitely technical questions, legal questions, and maybe that could be a good question for Mark to start with.
Well, I can tell you the law hasn't caught up. So yes, there are a lot of questions. Fair housing, are they acting like real estate agents? Do they need to be licensed? Do they need to be regulated? And the short answer is we don't know, because it has been brought before the courts yet. The legislature hasn't addressed it. Big question mark.
Personally, I think OpenAI is building their own commercial application for every domain right now. They're building a doctor assistant. They're building tutor. They're building lawyers. Essentially, if you look at OpenAI, they can pass college exam, they can pass bar exam, they can pass medical license exam. So they are actually building across the domain all the knowledge to the top of. Now they can do conversational AI. They can actually engage like a human being. So that's what the OpenAI's ambition is. Maybe this real estate has some legal issues that they were worried about. But personally, I think that may be a competitive thing. They are actually trying to take over different AI application for every domain. That's one. Secondly is for from technical viewpoint, if you depend on too much on OpenAI, I think that could be your detriment in the future. I think what every person here using AI should always have alternative. Besides OpenAI, what other AI platform you can use? Certainly, Google, Amazon may develop their own. Facebook, Meta has their own, but on top of that, this all large company has a monopoly. What we are going to see is a lot of new companies coming up with open source AI solution where if you disagree with them, you can still get your own open source solution, get an off-the-shelf solution to build it. So you don't depend on OpenAI to build such a personalized housing search. You can always do it without depending on OpenAI.
And just quickly, you might want to say that this is what your company does. You might want to highlight this again,
Well,
right?
yeah, we do use open source, backend. And so we do not depend on OpenAI API. So you can actually build the complete same OpenAI foundation, the conversational platform based on the released Facebook's Llama 2, which has the same capability. Yeah.
So I'll basically distill it down what plugins was and why I think, I mean, my personal opinion, why I think it's technically inevitable to kind of block such things. So Redfin plugin for OpenAI was nothing but allowing you to search on Redfin just by using your natural language. So rather than going to Redfin and putting in filters saying that, oh, I need house greater than 2-bedroom and house built beyond 1950, right now, if you connect Redfin to ChatGPT, which is via the plugin, you can talk to it in a more human-like manner. You can say, oh, I need a 3-bedroom house built beyond 1950. So it's just a different way of interacting with the website. And then that's pretty much it. Again, these are just my views. I'm not sure why this was kind of shut down. Essentially, sure. I mean, you can technically ask it questions like, oh, what are the marginalized communities in this pin code or in this city? Right, you can ask that question, but that question has got nothing to do with Redfin. You can technically ask this question on Google or any other search engine; it will give you the answer. So, just on the name of it being able to provide you answers which are maybe not politically correct, they shut it down. That's not a technical bottleneck. I mean, at some point of time, Redfin plugin for OpenAI is just providing you a different way to interact with the website. That's pretty much it. And the output is like, it's pretty much the same. You can go to Redfin and just do exactly the same thing. And yeah, I think definitely there are legal conditions that, okay, there are things that you cannot ask, but it's a lot more to do with general consciousness than connecting Redfin to OpenAI. That would be my point of view.
And that's rightly be pointed out. Initially, when Mark was actually talked about this thing, like this is now yet being addressed by the legislature, like all the kind of legal issues that are slowly coming up, because we are handling this OpenAI as a model that is in its infancy stage. It's like in a toddler stage. Like if I create a robot and tell the robot to walk down the path just on this room, and if there is a door, if I don't pre-train the model that there is a door, you need to stop before the door, it will bang the head to the door. So this is what is happening right now. There is not much of training to the model. So training on the fly, the models are learning by itself. Mistakes definitely would be there. And that's what just Mark mentioned. There are a lot more on the way to come in. And there on the different OpenAI models, you will see there are some disclaimers are already there. So once it's pre-filled information, just like any description, anything that you are asking them to write, bragging factors you're asking them to write, they will do something. Just find out a house, off-market house from MLS listing. First thing, they will start writing it up. I'm not finding it on MLS listing. You can just consult with XX and X, like redfinrealtor.com or something. So this kind of another training model with disclaimers, even you will write, like, give me a legal case on AI right now. They said, I'm not finding, you need to consult this and this. So disclaimers and those things are still coming in. So as being said, this is an infancy stage, like as the plugins, he just like mentioned, like there is issues with Redfin plugins and those things. I'm not going into that details, but I would say it will be automatically coming as the model will be enhancing its own features. Issues will be there, but as an end user, we need to make sure like the issues can be taken care of with some legal policies and remediation down the line.
Right, we can keep going, and question?
Hello. Yes. You have a question, right?
We have a question for that. We already have a question for that.
Okay.
Yeah, so
We'll come to that.
We'll come to this question. All right, so let's keep going, and I will just make a quick comment. What are my thoughts on Redfin for in ChatGPT plugins? I think there is a big opportunity to make a custom model for real estate. That's not going to depend on ChatGPT. That's going to address those questions, but we are just so early that we don't know how this may happen. And this is a good segue into our next question. Let's pull out our crystal ball, think about the future, and think as AI gets out of its 5-year-old kid stage and gets into 6-year-old kid stage, right? How are things going to improve? How things are going to evolve? What do you see in the future for AI in real estate? Who wants to get started?
That's more technical issue than illegal.
Yeah, so. Yeah. So yeah, for the next 4 to 5 years, coming in from a perspective from a very, very core perspective, because I do literally train these models for my living. And honestly speaking, a lot of these things are overblown to an extent that they are like absolutely not true. Again, taking my example of when Redfin came in and how it kind of changed the way you interact, it did not replace anybody. Same thing with these bots. And ChatGPT as a technology has been there since 2017. And I have literally seen it for the last 6 years. It has grown maybe nothing. This was there. It just became more democratized. People started knowing of it and people started using it. So it just will become more and more part of our daily life, similar to Alexa. I mean, everybody here has used like Alexa and these home assistants or Siri or whatever, right? They have been there for a decade. They are not overtaking your life. They're not growing like wild, but they are just trying to become more and more useful in different segments. Right. One thing that I can foresee, I've been playing around for a while, is like, okay, using DALL-E to imagine interior decoration. Let's say you have a house that you are trying to put it on the market and you do not have a staging on it. Right. And right now there are some ways to kind of artificially stage it, but you need to kind of have an external contractor which will kind of image the house and stage it up. Right. Then, so what I see, one thing is kind of doing artificial staging. It still exists. I mean, you can go on Bing and then you can do it. You can supply it a piece of empty room and ask it to place a couch, right? And a dining table. It will do it fairly well. It's not perfect, but it will do the job for you. I think that will become much more advanced, right? Something next similar to Matterport, right? You have 3D visualizations of the house. I mean, as a buyer, I would definitely want to see an interior 3D visualization of the house before visiting it in person. And I think that boundary to get that thing done for you as a realtor will go the effort required to get a Matterport 3D model of the house will become much more lower, right? The 3D models will become much more lifelike and human-like, and maybe at some point of time you don't even need to take your clients for an open house. I mean, they would be convinced enough just by seeing with the house in 3D that they can kind of make or break they can choose or not choose right away. Again, same as Google Street View, you can kind of tour the community in 3D and virtual life and things like that. So all these technologies are gonna make your client's life easier, with respect to coordination, with respect to communication, with respect to visualization. And that's pretty much it. It's not going to replace you. It has never replaced, like no AI has replaced human ever. And personally, I don't believe like they're going to replace a human, because I mean, human brain is a wonderful thing. People have been trying to mimic it. We are maybe like 1% there. So yeah, there's still a long way to go.
And on top of that, I just need to add the predictive modeling is something the future that is waiting for us, especially on the real estate field. Like most difficult part being a real estate in the journey what I see that what would be the sold price? Like always people are like into that kind of a mindset. This is being the listing price. It's a super competitive house. How many offers are coming? So now AI, I have like talked with some of the people who are working in this. They said, okay, if this much of disclosures are downloaded, this is the trend, this is the pattern. Now, on a data set for last 1 month, let's predict what would be the offer price someone can put and make sure they are getting. I know this is completely out of the hook. This is not gonna possible, but it is happening. So predictive analysis is something coming very strong and robust, especially on the real estate field, and people are working on it. So this is something, and I always say, being in the real estate journey, it's not much technical that we need to do. Just like we do not need a robot to do our work. We definitely do our legwork on that. But what is important on the real estate perspective, it's on something that we do daily work, like blogs, posting, those things are pretty common. But predictive analysis is something, it's very unique that you can help your client. So that is something we should wait for these different models to come and help us down the line.
So now put on the crystal ball for the next 5 years. So you see this AI becomes more and more powerful. For example, and I just dump 1 minute of Steve Jobs' speech to the AI, and I can now build an AI agent to speak exactly like Steve Jobs, with his tone, with his voice, with his. So imagine that you build a personal assistant. You build a AI answer basically on behalf of you to answer all your customer calls. And it will speak exactly like you. So you will have the same speech, the same sound, but you have a script, right? But AI is even more intelligent. AI can even know how to respond, because speak like it actually is more polite than I am in speaking back to a person. So that kind of conversational assistant I see in 5 years is everywhere, because if you look at ChatGPT, it's moving toward a conversation, even though it's trying to limit itself to a box. But it's very easy to make that interactive box. And make it take a proactive view on starting the first conversation. That's just a matter of change. Give me 1 second. So in addition, what we are seeing in the next 5 years, even within 1 year, is this agent AI. So AI in the past is a predictive model, but the agent AI is taking action on behalf of you. So now OpenAI released this plugin where you can let it to go out to the internet to send out an email, to search for information, to create a listing, do something for you. So meaning push a social post for you, do the grabbing, search for information, and then summarize them for you, dump to your database, summarize your database, show that basically the whole suite, a sequence of action. You don't have to do yourself. You have it completely automated by an AI. So, and that is linked to this generative AI where ChatGPT is. So then you have the complete suite of from end to end, a personal assistant. That is the future, what I see. Most likely happening within 2 years, not even 5 years.
And just a very quick note, when you were talking about Steve Jobs chatbot, this is something that everybody can go to Coach AI and see right now, correct?
Yeah, we didn't announce the voice yet.
Okay, so this is already here today.
Just quickly, I know in the legal field, Thomson Reuters and Lexis are trying to generate a program AI that will allow them to print out draft briefs. I wouldn't be surprised in the real estate field if they try to get a platform that will summarize your contracts, your disclosures. My only comment on that is buyer beware. And of course, I'm sure these platforms are not going to be open and they're going to be very expensive in the beginning.
Question? Yeah.
Kind of a multiple question. This thing here, it's listening to us, right?
Mhm.
Based on the app you have, picks up keywords, shoots back stuff that, I just said that, right? Now, same thing, my question is, I ask that question because if I type in, I type in me or I Google someone here and it comes back, oh, they are this person, or I didn't go to DuckDuckGo, same thing, they'll tell me who this person is, right? So I ask that question because what you just said about the assistant and on the legal aspect of it, kind of a compound question. I didn't say that. My assistant said that. Well, the lawsuit is going to happen because I didn't say that. That was my assistant.
This is like your autonomous car hit someone, right? Is your responsibility or the car's responsibility?
Right. So the other thing is that if I go to ChatGPT or whatever other place, type in a person and ask kind of ask a question, who is this person? Will it be able to spit back who it is, like on Google, like on DuckDuckGo? Because if I use the chat app, they're going to learn about me and who I am and what I do, and to what extent am I reliable or there any kind of stuff like that. What's your
Well, it's the same. I mean, same reliability of search engine, so or any company, right? The assistant is just information generate. It's summarization. So there's no.
Well, if you use the assistant and your name and it goes out and it's wrong, and you're on the hook.
Yeah.
It's you. It's your name on the little letterhead. It's your name signing off on this, that, and the other thing. And if it's wrong, that's what everyone has been telling you. You got to check. You got to proofread. Yeah. It's not replacing. It's assisting, but it's not replacing because every one of you will be on the hook if you rely on it and it's wrong. Just like the attorneys who submitted a fake brief of cases that did not exist. Yeah.
So right now today, if I type in someone's name on ChatGPT, will it know who it is? If I type in someone's name like I would on Google or somebody, will it know who it is?
Sorry. I mean, is it more of a technical question or more of a legal question?
I think it's a privacy policy question.
It will. I mean, from technical aspect, it will. It's just that it's programmed in a way not to spit it out. So these are guardrails on, see, these models are trained on the internet, and internet is literally trillions of web pages. It's difficult to kind of wrap around the kind of, I mean, as I said, a 5-year-old infant is not a loose term. It's actually a fairly intelligent thing that we have there. So it knows, it certainly knows. It might not know the best. It might give you some hallucination, some hallucinated answer, but it knows. And when OpenAI, the company, released the ChatGPT, the model, they have put these guardrails not to output this kind of information. So similarly, if you see like in Amitabh's examples, when you asked it to type in a blog post, it removed your name and it put in a placeholder.
Yes.
So these are post-processing over the model to kind of stop it from outputting these kind of things. But on a technical level, yet it knows. Yes, it knows. It's anything which is out there which you can publicly get on the internet, the model will technically know. The cutoff date is 2021 December, if I'm not wrong, or 2022 December. Until then, whatever was there on the internet, it knows. And now that there are plugins which the model can technically go out on the web and update its information, it's slightly more updated. I mean, it's not 100%, but whatever was there on the internet as of December of 2021 is there somewhere in the model.
Okay,
We have question from
I
that
have a
side.
really quick question.
Yeah.
Is there a restricted model that we should follow? Because we've been playing around with AI a bit. So it's like Instagram has its own AI. I know that there's like apps and stuff. Besides Coach AI, is there one that we should kind of that would have more than others, or we're playing with different apps that I just don't know where I'm supposed to. Is there one?
I mean, I wouldn't, so bigger the better. That's one theory. And then other things are domain specificity, right?
It's like I'm playing with like AI is fun, but it gives me a lot of information, but I don't know if that.
Yep. So most of the companies would be specific to their kind of data or their domain. So Snap would most likely be more of, let's say, like the Gen Z or more snappy
Snap
stuff,
gives me a
right?
lot of real estate. That's why I'm playing with Snap a lot. And Snap gives me a lot of like first time home buyers, what to do, how to answer things. So I'm just trying to see, is there a certain they're all
I'm not sure if like what Snap's background is, if it's trying to give you a lot more general information. That my hunch would be kind of using OpenAI at the back end.
open?
OpenAI, ChatGPT on the back end. A lot of these models are fairly expensive to train. These are like running into millions of dollars of training. So at the moment, there are very few big companies which have their own models, like Microsoft, Google, Facebook, OpenAI. So these 4 or 5 are pretty much the only big models. The other models are kind of selected out of these bigger models. So for example, I believe, it's my hunch, I don't know, don't quote me on that, but most likely Snap is kind of using off the shelf OpenAI ChatGPT model and kind of packaging it up into something more snappy that way.
So you would recommend starting with OpenAI?
OpenAI is one of the most general chatbots that they can use. You can go to chat.openai.com or something like that.
this is ChatGPT.
ChatGPT. So OpenAI ChatGPT is one of the more open source general bots that you can converse with.
And I would add here, I think you're gonna find a lot of quote AI companies, which are not really AI companies. There is a term for this. It's a little derogatory, so some people will get offended. ChatGPT wrappers. If somebody gonna create their own brand, they're gonna take questions from you, pass them to ChatGPT, and give you the answers. And you wouldn't even know that they don't have their own AI model. But on the other hand, companies like Coach AI, they have their own models.
So Coach AI, OpenAI, or ChatGPT.
Right. So, but there's going to be so many AI products where you're not going to know that all they're doing is just wrapping ChatGPT. Right. Let's.
I would say, just to answer your question, like whenever you're comfortable in handling any particular model, that's what you need to rely on, especially if you're looking for an open version. Then any open source version, not a paid version, won't give you whatever you're looking for. You need to go for a paid version. But for the real estate side, you need to just make sure, like, whatever you are working with, if you're comfortable on a particular model, again, as you're working in a proprietary model, I'm not quoting any name. First, you need to say that whether with the open free version, you are happy or not. And then if you're happy, then go further down with a paid version. And I'm seeing there is a lot of great results out of it. Just like ChatGPT paid version has a lot with DALL-E tool and others. So yeah,
But that's a
please.
good place to start. OpenAI,
Yeah.
ChatGPT, Coach AI.
Okay. Well, we're about to get into Q&A. Mark's going to be the first person to ask a question Q&A. No, you'll be the first when we actually open Q&A. But there is one more question for the panel. The lady who was asking it already left, so that's both questions for the audience. So let's summarize, and we address this. But let's summarize. Do real estate professionals need to worry about losing their jobs? What tasks could AI easily supplant, and where the human touch and human judgment will be irreplaceable?
I would just first by saying that over the last 6 years, there is a 270% increase in the application in the OpenAI space. The reason being, now it's open, people are contributing their thoughts, their knowledge into it, and the system is pre-training, and I would say making sure it's creating a newer information, newer robust model. It will definitely replace some jobs, that's for sure, but it will create enormous opportunity for newer employments. It's not like, just like I can give you an example, like when we were kids in early 80s, then we have seen the typewriters, well, there are a lot of typewriters near my home, like people are going and doing typewritings, and slowly computers came in. So the early adopters to the computers, they are really like initially they're like it's a stumbling block for them. They said, hey, it's computer, how should I handle and all those things. Now we are in that infancy stage with the AI models. Any AI that we are talking about, it definitely create more opportunities for us, but it's on us, especially on the real estate field. Believe me, we are not in the real estate field. We need not to do write codes or anything. Basically, we are using some pre-trained models for our day-to-day work, chatbots for communication. But I would highly encourage when people say that, hey, my chatbots will talk to my clients. I said, definitely no, because that won't have your human emotions and feeling. In our real estate business, when I'm talking to one client, my tone would be different, another client tone, and empathy would be different. So empathy, tone, those are more brain powers. I would say deep learning part, no like pre-trained model can replace you. So that way, I believe there's a lot of great opportunities. Yes, job will be replaced, but more and more new options are there. So early adopters, that's the key in this entire journey. We should be early adopters to those kind of changes.
Sorry? No, so my point of view here is same as DocuSign. Okay, DocuSign can be considered as an AI, right? DocuSign did not replace humans, right? So my prediction is, I mean, it's not a prediction. I think that is probably what's gonna happen. Is it's just that your workload per client will reduce. It will be much more seamless, and I believe it has already reduced by a mile. Like maybe 50 years ago, you would have to take a client to each and every open house and things like that. But now a lot of people are much more self-aware. They can do their due diligence on websites like Redfin and Realtor, see 3D Matterports, go on Google Street View, and at least get rid of things that are definitely not going to happen. So houses that were low in the, like they would not prefer any which way, they do not even see that house. Like, I mean, you do not have to do a lot more viewings like that. And then came DocuSign, right? You had to go to each and every client to get their signatures, but now things have become much more streamlined, right? And then now the next generation of these are just tools, right? These tools are going to make your life better. You can maybe handle 20 more clients just by spending 10 minutes lesser on each client per day. You can automate a lot of these things, right? You can send periodic emails, you can send customized emails, and you can send multilingual emails, right? Your newsletter need not be only in English. You can directly type a newsletter and ask it to convert it to any other language. So that way you will have much more personal connection. And yeah, I think it's going to make your workflow more seamless. It's not going to replace you. Yeah, it's just going to be more efficient. It's never going to replace you. This has been a thing like since forever. People speculate that, oh, this is the next new big thing, it will replace you. That's not gonna.
And just to add on top, just like in Canva tool, like before Canva tool, like we know, like people has a tough time, like how to change pictures and those things. But Canva has like created a lot of vibes, positive vibes that way in the real estate field. Like people are doing their listing, their pictures, like changing up, like anything, they will create a custom flyers with Canva. That's a excellent product. I would say it's a gift of AI that way. And that's helping the real estate professionals in a huge manner. So these are the positives basically out of it. Yeah.
Okay. So I mentioned the AI can do many things people can do. I think one thing they don't have is this personal connection, this personal touch, where your client may have a certain kind of wish, certain kind of need they want to express to you, and also the negotiation process, you can simplify for them, you can do things for them. So it's more like a high-end service. I would say maybe it's like buying a furniture, whether you buy a high-end furniture, you need a special person, or you just go Amazon order online, right? So there will be some maybe streamlined process for something that everyone knows, has the information. But your uniqueness may be local information. The local information nobody knows. And I think that's where you can add value and continue to add value. I think marketing become very crucial to differentiate you from other people. So that is your newsletter, your blog post, your information, and guard your like information, not to let OpenAI search, grab that into its own agent, right? So I would say build your own personalized voice on your website. That is the key. But I do see a lot of automation happening, right? Even writing contract, even we can write an AI assistant to negotiate. The negotiation agent is coming. There's already several companies is building negotiation agent. So they can construct the document, they can rewrite. So all this is coming. But human still needs the human touch. I think that's the final part.
Well, to borrow Ronald Reagan's phrase, trust but verify. You may have these programs that will allow you to draft offers, and negotiate. I've heard that before, even in litigation, but they've never really panned out. Nothing can replace, as you've heard, the human touch and your own knowledge of the market and what, the intangibles. Does this person want to sell? Is this person really anxious? I don't know if open source or chatbots can even figure that out. But again, not to be a harbinger of doom, they can be a tool, but trust but verify. It's your license, ultimately. And so you can rely on it assisting you. But when it comes down to the nitty-gritty of sealing the deal, getting it financed, all those other fun stuff that you have to do, that's your license on the line.
I just want to add one thing in general about AI or any other new component. I believe bad news and fear mongering travels really, really fast. Let's say in 1940s, if somebody would have told you the world will be a better place 80 years down the line, and there would be iPhones and cars which self-drive, and there would be computers and things like that, you would have never believed it. But here we are. Same thing when computers came in 70s, they were like, oh, computers going to replace everything out there and humans are redundant. It never happened in 50 years. Bad news and fear mongering always travels way faster than what positive news travels. So yeah, I believe like replacing humans is fairly tough. I would not tough. It's impossible. Definitely.
Okay, let's get into formal Q&A. Mark's been waiting for a while. Let's go ahead.
I was gonna ask. First of all, I want to thank you guys. All four of you guys. This is phenomenal in the YouTube retreat. I think I'm surprised that more agents aren't here. This is important information. I expect a couple of comments. Number one, can you guys hear me or?
There are some people on the Zoom, maybe they are not.
They don't want to hear me then. Shoot, damn thing's alive. First of all, I'm going to ask maybe Corinne and Junming. You mentioned, and maybe you both can answer, or one can answer it. How do I coach? That's your business. How do I teach the current AI my business so it could carry a conversation as though it's me? That's part of and the second part of that question is, if I do teach it this information, if it's able to take the information, that's proprietary. How do I know that doesn't go into the big web out there, that everybody will have my information? So question one, how do I teach it? Can I teach it to be me? And how do I do it?
Teach is quite easy. It's already been done. So as long as you give the context, it can speak, make a very smooth conversation, like based on OpenAI API, you can already build a wrapper around the API to speak almost like you. You just add your context.
Voice-wise, I understand, but how about actually me, the inside, my information, my knowledge?
Your style, your
my
wording,
knowledge?
Your knowledge. So all this is able to be incorporated into AI model immediately without much work. Today.
And is that proprietary then? Does it stay within my own little zone, or?
If you want to stay in your own zone, you have, I would have your own local database without uploading to OpenAI. Yeah.
And how do would I reach out to, I guess you do coach, that's your business. How do
My-
I
my-
do this?
I haven't done real estate,
Well, I meant but coaching, teaching this thing. How do what tools are out there to teach it?
Well, let me just say, the very first time I saw Jen Lynn's presentation, she was talking about coaches. She has different personalities. My first thought, my first suggestion to her was, we gotta have a Tom Ferry chatbot, because this is gonna save so many people so much money so quick.
So how do I go about doing that? I guess
data needs to be customer built, so needs to work with a company to that we need to set up a server, right, at your database to the server, so that it doesn't go out to be searched by other companies.
But what company does it right now? I guess. I mean,
Oh,
it's-
there are quite a few.
okay.
Quite a
And
few.
how do I look it
service
up?
company.
How do I find them? Under what? Chat box?
No, I would say Y Combinator new startup. This is in the last, just this
Okay,
year.
I can talk to you offline
Yeah,
about
yes,
that.
yeah.
And then the last comment, or actually second question to Kareem. When is, in your opinion, now you're not OpenAI or Jet, any of that stuff, but when is it going to be more updated on the information? Right now, everything's based on 2021, right?
2021, yeah. So ChatGPT is based off 2021 just because it's a free service, right? And every time it has to do a real-time lookup. So just to give you an example, training these models from scratch takes about 40 days on at least $1 million worth of hardware. So 40 days and $1 million worth of hardware. Okay, sure. Hardware investment is one-time investment, but you still need 40 days for it to get updated, right? So what the trade-off was that they trained a huge big boy model until December of 2021. And anything at this point, which it doesn't know, it goes out on the web and grabs it for you in real time. Right? So sorry, I missed your question.
It does that now?
It does that now. So if you go on, so not ChatGPT. ChatGPT free version does not do that now because it's free. Anytime you ask it to do a web search, that's an overhead. It has to someone has to pay for. So, but if you use things like Google Bard, which is bard.google.com, it will do it to you for free as a web search, right? Same for Bing, Microsoft Bing. If you go on Bing and you ask it a bunch of questions, it will do the real-time search for you from the web.
Okay, then just last real quick.
Sure.
Does AI have the capability to generate a creative idea that, well, I think what separates humans, I think, from machines right now is that we can take abstract ideas and we can create things from it. Is AI going to have that capability?
It depends. Okay, so are you talking more of in a positive sense or a negative hallucination sense?
Sorry, what was the question?
So is it more of positive creative thinking or negative creative thinking that you mentioned?
Just create
Oh.
ideas like an iPhone or
No, so very simple. As I said, the model can be as good as what it has already seen. It is just trying to summarize things from the internet. If it's there on the internet, it knows.
it's some sort of bid there.
Yep. So
You can't generate new ideas.
it's highly unlikely. It can connect two disconnected thoughts and present it to you, which is called hallucination. But in most of the cases, that's detrimental. But it cannot create something out of the blue. It can connect random two different ideas which already exist on the internet.
You can't put them all together.
it-
It's a new idea.
It can put it, yeah, sure.
Okay.
But in a lot of times it's detrimental. So it's not really constructive. So if you're thinking that it can ask it to maybe give you the next big patent, it's probably not going to do it until and unless it brings two different random technologies and suggests it to you and somehow it works. It's not going to generate a new patent for you.
Thank you.
Sure.
So a quick answer to your question, I would check DALL-E 3 on OpenAI website, the most recent DALL-E 3. The picture they generate just mind blowing. So when you ask a creativity, I don't think a human artist can even create those pictures. You just say a story. You give a story, it will draw a picture like you have never seen before, like astronaut riding a horse on a space. Yeah. All those much more creative. Any creative thing you can throw in, they will draw a picture for you. In the DALL-E, yeah. They are also moving toward the scientific discovery, new theorem, new mathematics, new physics, like a new proton, like AlphaFold from DeepMind. They discover new protons. They advance biology by 10 years. So that is the things that science see is happening. Yeah.
And if,
Like, especially in the biological sector, there's a revolution that's happening, especially how the predictive human science would be, what would be the new generation medicine would be. This is like a different breakthroughs going on. They are using all the existing knowledge and creating a future predictive model for human data science, human biology, those things. But I would say we don't have much time. We have a question.
Just real
and-
quick. So I played around with this GPT platform a little bit. Correct me if I'm wrong, but does it require you to create your own login credentials first? Register, create your login credentials?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I thought. And then kind of in response to his questions about customizing it for that person, in a sense, it is doing that when you log in and you ask questions and whatnot. Isn't
it's
it kind of
basically-
taking all your information and just kind of learning from it?
It's just you are giving a prompt, and based on the prompt, based on the API, you are writing something, and API will return you back more customized version of it. Just as an example that I shared, like you are just writing 3-bit, 2-bit or something, then it is giving you more succinct or prompt structuring of your thought process, and then
Exactly. That's what I
working on
was
it.
asking.
But it is not super customized. It may
Okay.
be a little customization,
Just a little bit.
little bit of
Yeah.
it. But if you pre-trained a new model for yourself, not an open version, if you have a customized proprietary code base you have written, you have your own a model you create, then it will create your own custom like
Okay.
set.
So the more I use it,
Yes.
the more it understands me.
Exactly. And the OpenAI model, it's all about that. Like people are putting the thought process and it's self-learning quickly and they're learning super fast.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So just to slightly modify, so when you log in, whatever you converts does get recorded. I mean, you probably have signed it somewhere while creating an account that they can use this data for training. So not everything that you say is fed back to the model. There is a human layer somewhere in the middle that a part of your conversation is seen by a human anonymously. And then once the human says that, okay, this is something which is correct, because the model also sometimes can give you wrong information. You can choose to edit it and use it on in your life, but then the model does not get the feedback that it's wrong. So a human at some point of time, like mechanical, we could call them mechanical Turks. These people review a part of the conversation. If it's good enough, they put it back to the training set where OpenAI generates a slightly better version of itself at some point of time. They aren't doing it currently. They would do it at some point of time. So there was 3, there's 3.5, there's 4. So 4 is what Bing uses, GPT-4. Then there is a GPT-5, which is again under process. Sorry. Yep.
You sign up, what does that speak for?
I don't recall, perhaps just for legal reasons that maybe like minors cannot use it or something like that. I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah.
The OpenAI, yeah, I believe it's just for maybe like no minors or something like that. Sure.
No, I hate to say it, guys. I think my job, everybody here, our job's gone.
No.
I mean, I know you're gonna disagree, but
Yeah.
I hate to tell you that because
I would love to hire AI to host my open house.
I would say that's a far-fetched reality. Not for next 20 years, I'm seeing that thing gonna happen. If it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. Like, see, we definitely cannot predict future that way, but we need to embrace the positivities out of it. Like as Karan has mentioned, like back in like 40s, 50s, or 70s, when new things are slowly coming in, or sometimes if he said like, hey, we will be self-driving a car like 70 years down the line in 1940s, no one believed us. Like say, hey, you are completely talking about a utopia to us. But it's happening for the good. Is there too much of accident with a self-driving car? We are not seeing that. Maybe they're predicting their car will be flying soon. The same thing, If it will be replacing, it will be creating more opportunities for us. So don't be fearful, don't be fearmonger about that thing, because see, ultimately we are the creator, we are the flag bearer of these new changes. And that's why we are sitting here, we are discussing to be a first adopter and responder to these new changes. And whenever it mimics about your personality, I would always say that's gonna take long time, because especially in the real estate business, it's not a streamlined thing. It's not like a telecaller who will prompt every time the same model, hi, good morning, such and such, this is our product. No, in this case, our empathy, our emotions, everything plays a huge vital role. So replacing real estate professional precisely, I'm not talking about any other particular domain, is not impossible, but difficult task. So that way we have a great future, we have a great scope at hand.
Sorry, so yeah, just to add to Amitawa, I mean, realtor is still a way more complicated job. If you were to think of it, the most probably brain dead job is probably a telecaller, and even then a telecaller, a telemarketer, like spam calling, right? Even spam calling until now has not been taken over by robots. Sure, there are some automated callers, but still that's not being achieved. Call center helpers, right? I mean, they are only partly replaced by our bots right now. Like, you still press in a bunch of keywords and then you're still taken to a human. So I think coming to a state where realtors are being replaced, there are two angles. One is technically realtors can be replaced maybe in 100 years. Will a human trust, will a buyer trust an automatic person to make a deal worth millions? I personally at this point would think never. So maybe technically you are replaced, but I don't think so. Not you as a realtor is replaced, but as a buyer, I don't think so. I would want to deal with a machine. Right. So that's how I would see it. So yeah, no, I don't think so. Like, realtors are gonna get anything is gonna get replaced. I mean, yeah, even self-driving cars are there, but like maybe 0.001%. That doesn't mean like the drivers are gonna get replaced.
That's what Fry's Electronics said. Remember Fry's around here? Yep. They were down.
6 to 7 years back,
Fry's
Yeah.
Electronics, we're not worried about Amazon. People are never gonna do that. Where's Fry's today? Where's Amazon?
Sure. So the issue is, so it was part of the change. People started going and buying online. Fry's never adapted. And that's a great point. That's what my initial point was. Given that you're targeting the next generation of buyers, you got to adapt, right? I mean, if you are thinking that you will cold call and have people pick up the call, no. I mean, my phone is never on non-silent mode. My phone is always on silent mode, right? And I think it's way worse for people like younger than me. They don't they just text. Like, I don't think so anybody SMS anymore. It's more on iMessage or WhatsApp. So that's where you gotta move. Fry's Electronics was still a brick and mortar store, failed to get into the online business. But that's where Best Buy comes in. Best Buy was there. They are still a hybrid mode, and they do more sales on the online channel because that's what the new generation wants. So if you do not pivot to the latest trends, you are bound to fail. So Fry's did not fail because Amazon took them over. It's because they failed to accommodate what they want, like what the people wanted.
Mark?
I think what you're missing is the fact the state of California regulates your profession like it regulates mine. And until the legislature says, oh, we're going to allow some sort of computer program to now sell houses and get a license, I don't think your profession is going to go away.
And you know what we can all do to help prevent our profession going away? Contribute to Realtor Action Fund. This is how we get legislature to listen to us.
And just to add on the lending industry, believe me, 6 years to 7 years back, whenever someone is getting into a contract, the disclosures are all going in like physical mode. They need to get that physical document, signed it. And right now with the DocuSign, all these facilities, e-sign process, like slowly this human labor has replaced, a lot of job has gone, like not too much of processors needed right now in the lending industry. But believe me, when still buyers got the CD, got the initial disclosures, anything, they first reached out to your lender. even they understand you are the person, human person, to explain every bit of it. So always I smile at myself. I said, like, no matter what, they're saying that we are replacing the human labor by whatever automation is concerned. You are like, your trust is always there. So it's difficult. Yes, number of human labors will be reduced substantially down the line with this help of AI for sure. Any open model, closed model, whatever the models are, as we all discussed, me, Karan, and Mark, we all discussed out here, but it's ultimately our trust, especially in the real estate field. I'm not talking about any particular field in concern, but in our field, our trust, our empathy, our help is always there. You need to explain something that they're always looking for. And that I'm seeing in my lending industry always, that people start calling you and say that, hey, I got everything. And there is some automatic emails are going. CD went out and there is an automated email telling my client's realtor every stage of the transaction. There is no human needed that what is the update in the transaction, but still we are there to explain a bit of it. So that's all. Yeah, you have a question.
Being a realtor, we're all about disclosures. The conversation about the assistant. I mean, how do you need to disclose that to client when they're calling you with assistant answers?
You probably want to put on your website, right? I think have a transparency with your client is good. To say we have automatic chatbot, same thing, just with your work, right?
Right, so even when they answer, does the assistant need to disclose it to whoever's speaking?
I think for your protection, yes. Go ahead.
Personally, because those are customer support questions, all the answers are coming from your database. I wouldn't worry. Yeah, for disclosure, you, if you, do you have a liability if you answer a phone call? I don't know. So yeah, that's a legal question. I don't have an answer.
That's why I said, yeah, you can't go wrong if you disclose, right? If it's out there, they can't say, well, you didn't tell me. So yes.
And conversely, if there is any problem whatsoever and you did not disclose anything, including this, somebody could say it's a material issue.
Yeah. And then you'd be coming to me.
Sure. Oh, no. So I was just like, the example of DocuSign was like the way DocuSign is a tool which made your life easier. AI is tool to make life. Yeah. That's
It's not like.
Yeah. And exactly. Same thing. So people, as I said, street view will become much more real, like, and that Matterport 3D, like you can kind of technically tour houses virtually. So the concept of taking people to a visiting would be kind of reduced. It's not going to go away in real near future, but yeah, you are going to spend less time per client and you can kind of cater to more clients in a day. At some point of time, this will become much more publicly accessible. So right now, sure, the bar to enter is maybe slightly higher, right? But then again, there would be startups which will kind of make these things much more accessible to an average person. So same with like, I mean, having your custom models, and right now it still requires, let's say, there's still an uphill learning curve. But as and when these things will become easier, it will become much more accessible by the public. Like maybe like PowerPoint as a slide tool was maybe difficult, but now Canva came. That's easier, and things like that. So yes, I think DALL-E is available and DALL-E 2 is available. DALL-E 3 is available via Microsoft. These are same family of so you can use DALL-E 3 on Microsoft Bing for free. So yeah, it's fairly expensive to generate an image on the back end, but yeah.
And for image generation, check out Midjourney. Yeah. Midjourney, Midjourney, And if you want to see example of a Mid-Journey creativity, just go on Facebook, search for Mid-Journey Facebook group, and there is a Facebook group where people post this Mid-Journey art. It is breathtaking. Mid-Journey, right?
Yeah.
But the challenge, OpenAI says their DAO 3 surpassed the Mid-Journey. Because now you can use a complete natural language to describe what it is. In the Mid-Journey, you have to figure out what are the keywords, how you construct the keywords to make it look like what.
But to be very honest, like use always the professional photography, because whenever it comes to photography, always there is a risk of like copywriting and things. It's always better whenever you're using any listing that take proper photo that you have your ownership stamp on it.
Well,
Right now, I think these models are still very, they're good to like imagine what it would look like maybe a few years down the line. These can generate fancy models like, as I said, like like astronaut running on a mouse or something like that.
Right.
so-
Fancy stuff.
well, and don't use them for your listing photos.
Yes.
Get the actual photography. And sometimes those image generators, they would have 6 fingers or something, right? There are just sometimes little details they just screw up. You don't notice them. Use them for entertainment purposes.
Yeah. So-
Side, it's the accent.
Yeah.
Because I have like big engagement with that, and I can, by reading that, I can see,
It's automatically typing it out, right?
I see. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know like whatever it's like on the back end it's going on, but these things are improving, like I mean day by day. So yeah. I mean,
So-
sorry.
Put your thinking hand up, or put your crystal ball on. There was a movie out years ago called 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Yes,
Y'all know the movie models.
yes.
There was a phenomenal thing called HAL 9000 computer. When are we gonna get, when do you see that happen? We don't have it yet. That machine had some emotion, right? We can think and emotion. Do you see that coming down the pipeline?
At some point of time, yes, but that some point of time is also very specific use case. If we go about thinking it's not going to be a human as such. Maybe it mimics human in some domain, in some dimension. So for example, there are bots which are medical assistants or more like psychiatrists and therapists. So there is an online bot version of therapists, but they do not replace humans. They can.
Not right now. There is no HAL right now.
Yeah, sorry.
Actually, they are. And so if you come to our website, if you talk to our emotion coach, it speaks very empathetic. Emotion can be simulated. Let's say human emotion, essentially, if you figure out the ingredients, how you speak, what kind of wording, you learn from all the empathetic people, you can build AI speak exactly like that. So it's totally possible. And now the speech synthesis was so realistic. Like I was blown away, speak better English than I am, speak so just so emotional, and they can have like anger, have all kinds of emotion. You just plug in the emotion and speak out in that way. Can speak in high pitch, low pitch, all kinds of so the speech synthesis is way beyond the HAL, way beyond that movie. I think in terms of just the interactive part, we're way beyond that what the movie says. In terms of the flexibility of talking, I think we're also going beyond. Now reasoning, certainly the part is that's how reason about he's in danger, I think that's also coming, because the mathematical reasoning, like AI now can pass Olympic, basically beat many human player in the mathematical Olympic contest, right? So and it's passing the coding competition. All this AI can do, human can do, AI can do now. So I think we are already there. Yeah.
Scary. How about mimicking voice? Well, let's say I wanted me, another me, on video.
You don't want 2 marks.
I knew he was gonna say that. How would is it capable right now to
Yes.
do that? I mean, can we, whereas it looks just like me, it talks like me. same
Yeah, the people already built with your face, with your picture. You can turn around, you can speak, sync up to your mouth and have a facial expression. Totally,
It'll look realistic.
in very realistic. There are already demos showing up there. Yeah.
Okay, I think we have to wrap up.
Yeah, yeah.
We have to wrap up. Maybe some of the panelists still will be able to stay a little bit to answer questions one-on-one, but other than that, thanks to everybody for coming.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.